Gonzalez, we're keeping our guns.
That's right. That's what those people in Texas and Connecticut are saying, right? Certainly not the metrosexual tweeting gun grabbers in California, where I'm located. Okay, listen, here's my next guest. You're going to love this, all right? And certainly a great follow-up interview to the media firestorm that Gorilla Girl Ashley has created as a result of that call that went to Lieutenant Vance in the state of Connecticut. As you know, Connecticut is, I would say, the first shot that is fired, whereby a state is attempting to just outright go for a gun grab legislatively, and the next step is going to be door-to-door, knock your door down, take your guns type scenario. Edward Peruta, I think I pronounced his name correctly. We'll get the proper pronunciation here momentarily. He's a former U.S. Marine combat veteran from the Vietnam War. He's a legal investigator for gun rights attorney Rachel Baird and an NRA member. He's a pistol instructor. He authored a pistol safety instructions course that was state police approved. He holds 3 pistol permits in the states of Connecticut, Florida, and Utah. And he was the lead plaintiff in a landmark victory in Peruta versus San Diego County, brought on behalf of the CRPA Foundation and 5 individuals who were denied carry licenses by the San Diego County Sheriff. In its ruling, the federal court struck down a San Diego County Sheriff's policy that prevented most law-abiding adults from getting a license to carry a firearm. And he's currently a representative of Connecticut Carry, where he is battling on the front lines of Connecticut for the war to keep our liberty. Semper Fi, Marine. Is it pronounced Peruta? Welcome to the Pete Santilli Show, sir.
Hey, Pete. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Is it? Did I pronounce your name correctly, Mr. Peruta?
Yeah, it's the country in South America, Peruta.
Peruta. There you go. Fantastic. Welcome to the Pete.
It is.
Go ahead.
No. You're correct. I am a director of Connecticut Carry. Connecticut Carry is a nonprofit 501c3, I think, or whatever the hell they call it.
Sure.
And basically what we do is we get involved in educational issues. We put on seminars, and we try to assist people at the street level in everyday problems versus the big issue.
The big issue right now for me, and I, if you don't mind, can we start by talking about the San Diego case that you won, and then of course there's plenty to talk about with respect to Connecticut, okay? Because I'm in California, so I have an interest here.
I'll go, yeah, and I know approximately where you are because there's a residence in Los Angeles, north of the airport by Marina Del Rey, that is one of my residents.
Yeah, but, here's what I do know about, let's say, applying for a concealed carry here in the state of California. And tell me if this was the essence of your case. If I file, because I can request at the Sheriff's Department, file properly because I'm a law-abiding citizen, request a concealed carry permit because I believe my life is in danger. I've actually received death threats. So by submitting to the Sheriff's Department, I need to show a couple of things. I need to show that, I'm legally, able to carry a firearm, of course, but I need to show and justify the need to have a firearm concealed. And I need to demonstrate that to the Sheriff's Department and have a credible background. Is that correct?
Yes, but let me see if I can give you my understanding of when I walked in December of 2008, I had researched exactly what I had to do, exactly what I had to provide, and exactly what I had to prove. The first thing they did, they used this 2-appointment process. So I walk in December, and they asked me a bunch of questions verbally, one of which is residence, the other one was need or good cause.
Right.
And they're very nice, and they say to you, Well, you're going to be denied. Don't bother putting in an application. And if you pay the fees with the application, they're non-refundable. You're going to lose your money.
Really?
So right away, a certain percentage of first-time appointment individuals walk away and don't come back. Fair enough to say, Pete?
I would say so, sure. Yeah, especially when they try to discourage you right up front.
So let's say 100 people walk into the first interview, and 95% of them are told you're going to lose your money and you're not going to get your permit, don't waste your time, and they walk away.
Right.
We have 5 people who go to the second interview. Now, the sheriff's department, at least in San Diego and other counties, were touting the fact, well, we approve 80% of the applications received. But what they're not telling you is we approve 20% of the applicants who are interested.
Right. They don't have an account of the people that they've shooed away.
Right. Now, in the second interview, and I was told not to go forward and the reasons why, and I knew what was coming, and I said, no, I'm going to put in an application. I'm going to be fingerprinted. I've gone through my training. I'm going to pay the fees, and we'll go wherever this takes us. So now I'm going into the second interview. And when I went into the sheriff's licensing and permit unit for my interview, I took my tape recorder and put it up on the counter, a desk between 2 people. I hit record, and I said, okay, let's go. So I have an actual audio recording of my interview for the permit in San Diego.
Oh, you do? Wow.
And obviously, I was denied, and I chose to exhaust all administrative remedies because I knew where I was going, and I filed my appeal, timely filed my appeal. I retained an attorney. We went to the appeal. I believe the undersheriff was the person who conducted the appeal hearing. And at the end, he said, okay, your appeal is denied. Your appeals are all over. No, there's no further appeal. So we were walking out, and my attorney in San Diego is attorney Paul Newhart. And so I said to Paul, Paul, can I talk to the undersheriff in his office? And he goes, Ed, I know enough not to tell you what you can and can't do. If you want to talk to him, talk to him. I said, okay. So I walked into the undersheriff's office, and I really said 2 things to him, but the one thing that was the most important thing was they said, I don't know where you come from, but you just told me in there that my appeals are all done. There's no further appeal. I said, and I have to ask a question. What? Is there a federal court in this town? I said, my appeals are far from over. So, and then it was interesting because, and they changed it. When I went in, they were collecting 100% of the local fee with the initial application. And I forced San Diego to return money to people. That's a very small part of the story because the penal code said you only pay a percentage with the application and the balance upon approval. But San Diego was collecting the full amount.
That's
they
interesting.
didn't know the law.
Mm-hmm. And
they did, in fact, make refunds to everybody who had paid the 100%, whatever. So, and the rest is kind of history. I filed in court with Paul Newhart. There was a motion to dismiss.
You know what?
By the county.
Let's do this, if you don't mind. Let's explain to, and I call our listeners. All of us we're meat and potatoes people, and I know how to translate somewhat, just because I unfortunately have too much exposure to the legal system. But the essence of your case is essentially you wanted to demonstrate that that you don't need to have a justifiable, written, documented reason to say I want to have a concealed weapon to to defend myself. They were putting the burden on you.
Correct. And bear with me. I'm on an office phone, so you're going to hear the beeps of somebody trying to call in, but Rachel's given me the phone for as long as I need it.
Okay.
You're absolutely correct. Under current California law, the sheriff can take personal defense as good cause and doesn't have to require anything more than that. He has the discretion to simply accept self-defense as good cause.
Yes.
And Sheriff Gore was not accepting, at least from me, and I gave him a rather lengthy list, including self-defense, but a lot of other factors where I needed to carry a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Not good enough.
Okay, so...
And the Ninth Circuit,
go ahead.
on the 13th of February, came out with a very, very well-written, well-researched opinion, 2-1 within the three-judge panel.
Okay, push the pause button. We come back after this break. I want you to tell us what that ruling was by the appeals court, what they said, and let's say it in layman's terms, okay, when we come back right after this break. I'm with Mr. Edward Peruta. He won a case, a landmark case here in Southern California. That's why I'm so fascinated by it. Bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, do you have to demonstrate to the system why you want to defend yourself? Or is it an inherent right? Is it a God-given right? Did God send you down here and say, well, you can only defend yourself if you have a whole bunch of people that can provide testimony to say why? Stay right there. We'll be back right after this. Infidel Body Armor, made in the USA, an Oath Keeper and disabled veteran-owned business in Texas, selling to U.S. patriots concerned about any type of ballistic threats when it hits the fan. Not just law enforcement and military. The engineers at Infidel have designed lightweight, wearable, and durable body armor with life-saving reliability, made with military-grade steel and capable of withstanding hit after hit from high-velocity, large-caliber rounds. From rapid deployment systems to tailored models, Infidel Body Armor has all the right gear, especially suited for any grid-down situation. Infidel Body Armor sold at a fraction of the typical cost for police and military gear, which is designed to be replaced after ballistic impact. Remember, in the middle of societal collapse, replacement ceramic and Kevlar will not be easily found. Infidel's armor combo with plate carrier, front and back plate start at $375. Visit GorillaMediaNetwork.com/Infidel to check out Infidel's Body Armor and make sure you let them know you heard about them on the Gorilla Media Network.
Hi, folks. Ronnie McMullen here, talking to you about the immune system. As a talk show host, one of the major topics is health. It seems there are powers that be that want and desire the public to be sick. These are huge topics discussed on my show, but there is a way to combat this sick system. Life Change Tea. Life Change Tea is an all-natural product that gently cleanses your inside, gives you more energy, and builds your immune system. All organic and a natural weapon against toxicity. Customers have been buying year supplies to make sure they're prepared and healthy. Interested? You should be. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com, or you can call us direct at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. On the Ronnie McMullen Show, these topics get covered. On the Get the Tea website, these topics are addressed. Get rid of the dis before ease. You'll just be left at ease. That's getthetea.com.
You observed him smacking well-to-do girls in the butt. The Pete Santilli Show, the flagship show of the Gorilla Media Network. I believe, don't mess with me and don't take my stuff. You see these fists? I'm gonna use them to beat the F out of you.
The Pete Santilli Show.
Even above and beyond the state-run CIA infiltrated media.
You're listening to The Pete Santilli Show
on the Gorilla Media Network. So So God and I were having a conversation before I got down here, and he got me all dressed down. He said, "Look, I'm gonna take these wings and white robe off, and I'm gonna send you down there, dude. And I just want you to know, it's just for the purposes of describing where I'm gonna send you. We're gonna call it hell, and it's this place called Earth. And when you get down there, we need you to fill out a set of forms if you encounter any obstacles while you're roaming the planet Earth and those predators are coming after you. Should you feel the need to defend yourself, you'd need to submit the proper documentation and have the right number of friends that will testify to your good character when you get down there. So just please let the sheriff's department know God sent you here, and I want you to fill out forms to defend yourself." Is that the way it went, Mr. Peruta?
Absolutely. But I don't think I've ever really had wings.
All right. So we have a right to defend ourselves. It's inherent. We were born with that, were we not? I mean, seriously, there are certain inalienable rights. And they were written into a piece of paper called the U.S. Constitution, just for, I guess, the formality of it all. But let's take the paper and set it aside. We have a right to defend ourselves.
Let me see if I can give you my take on this. You have to bear with me, Pete. There's people that have said that I have the foulest mouth in the world. And I know that everybody that is on the other side of this issue is going to look at me very closely. They're going to listen to everything they can hear me say. So I'm going to be somewhat cautious in this interview. But let me tell you what I've said previously on other occasions. We have the Bill of Rights. And what I said was everybody, before they go to the grocery store, they make a list. They look in their refrigerator and their cabinets or whatever, and they go, "What do I need? Milk, bread, egg, butter, etc." The priority item. Then so you prioritize the list. Is that fair to assume?
Oh yeah, especially the stuff you need to survive.
The founding fathers, I believe, sat down with all of the justification of God-given rights, the rights of man, but they said, how did we win this? What were our tools? What did we need? What did we use? What do we have to guarantee for future generations? And they sat down and they said, you know something, and you're doing it right now with your show. We need to be able to inform people, pass information back and forth, and we need to be able to communicate. So they came up with the First Amendment. And they said, yep, we have to be able to communicate.
Freely, yes.
And then they said, now what's the second most important thing we need to protect for future generations? Because we needed them to gain our freedom from King George. We need the right to bear arms, to keep and bear arms. Mm-hmm. Because we need to be able to defend ourselves against a tyrannical government or despot. And I think that that's how your first set of constitutional rights, your Bill of Rights,
can I interject?
To take place.
Can I interject?
They prioritized them and put them in order.
Can I interject? And further, and tell me if you agree or disagree with this, because in, meat and potatoes language, from my perspective as just a former United States Marine, and I look at this and I say, okay, a quote unquote tyrannical government. What does that mean? Does that mean a big bad government? I see it as any government that wants to arm up and they want to take up arms to use against the people, that this ability to, or this right to get arms yourself in your own defense of your opposition, potentially, of a government that says, we want to overpower you with guns. And they gave the rights of the people to defend themselves with an equal and opposite force, saying, you know what, you can arm up just as much as they can. And that balances things out. And it protects you from them, right?
I agree. I do not, look, am I going to go to where we should have an enclave in the country that has the possession of a nuclear weapon? No.
Right.
I don't go there. But, they put these howitzers on the green next to the flagpole. Should we have access to them? Well, I'm not gonna say no to that. But that's not really what I applied for a pistol permit, not to change the law in the ninth, not to get CCWs for California residents. I did it because I had good cause to protect myself and my family based on the circumstances of my life and what I did.
Right.
Everybody else is going to, either benefit from it or, God forbid, what happens if, because it's not over yet. But I don't think that the clock in California cannot be turned back. Even if the Supreme Court was to come out and say, you have the discretion to require imminent threats, whatever,
what?
You're not going to turn the clock back on this issue in California. Counties had 1,000 permits.
What did the appeals court say? You said that they wrote a very well-written, well-researched opinion in your appeal. What did they say?
Well, they basically rehashed Heller and the historical record of right to bear arms outside the home from 1791 to present, including Heller. The right to keep it outside the house or to bear it outside the house was never an issue in Heller. So the court didn't have to rule on it. And in the McDonald case, it was just a simple question of, does the Second Amendment apply to the states beyond Washington, D.C.? I can tell you, in Judge Irma Gonzalez's decision to deny the motion to dismiss by the county back in 2010, December of 10, somewhere around there, it was the first federal decision where Irma Gonzalez recognized the right to bear arms outside of the home. It was the first written decision, but in the state of Connecticut, and I know that you people may have seen a video that I did on YouTube. Yes. Where a Connecticut judge says, well, I don't read the Connecticut Constitution.
Yeah.
No. But in the Connecticut Constitution, the word militia is not present, and the word keep is not present. In the Connecticut Constitution, Article 1, Section 15, says the right of the people to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state. Now, our Constitution in Connecticut was finally adopted in 1818. Now, you know something? I think that the reason they left keep out was it was a given. Whoever's going to challenge keeping a firearm, but they gave the rights to the residents of Connecticut to bear the arm. And I carried information in my head that I had acquired through life, but basically for working as a legal investigator for Attorney Baird here in Connecticut in firearm issues. When I went out to California, I already had a lot of information in my head about what they can do and what they can't do,
right?
But they wouldn't listen. They're a bunch of buffoons.
So what did the appeals court ultimately say?
It said that, you can't put you don't have to have a reason. There's no level of scrutiny, rational, intermediate, or strict scrutiny you don't have, it goes beyond that. It's a basic right. It is. When you're born, you have a right to self-defense.
You have a right to defend yourself, right? And no government should.
Universe, I'm not as religious as people think. I mean, I was in combat and I came out believing in a higher force, but I don't believe in any one person existed to do that, with a name on it.
Sure.
I just, and they came out and they said, the sheriff can't do that. He can't. And I don't know how much the Ninth Circuit saw, but if you backtrack it to San Diego, one of the great things about filing a federal lawsuit is you get to compel in the discovery process the other side to provide you with documents.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see who the sheriff did issue to and the good cause reasons that those people gave to obtain their CCW.
And what was it? What did you discover?
Well, it's what my attorneys discovered because the other side did not want me to see the good cause statements because I opened my mouth. But here's what I do know. There was an individual, don't know his name, don't know the real circumstances. Well, my wife and I go dune buggying out in the desert. And very often we're in an area where there's no cell service to summon public safety if we are in trouble. And so I need a firearm for self-defense. Issued.
Wow.
Now, here's one of the things that's was in my good cause statement. I currently reside in a 40-foot country coach motorhome. I travel across the country, and I'm very often camping out in areas where there is no or little cell service, and I need to have a firearm outside of my vehicle for self-defense. I denied. Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest with your listeners. I came back. I was, and let's get into this. 66, 69 active duty. 67, 68 combat in Vietnam.
Right.
Head offense, 1968. Made a lot of friends, lost a lot of friends.
Yes, sir.
Came home, became a police dispatcher because I was 20, and 2 days after my 21st birthday, got sworn in as a police officer. 2 years later, I didn't cut the mustard. I wasn't cut from the same cloth that they wanted. That's fine. I went to the academy. I learned a lot. I understand that.
Sure.
When I got off the police department, I didn't have a firearm. I didn't want a firearm. I am not a hunter, but I had hunted the largest game of all, and that's the kind that hunts back, 67, 68, and I had no desire to have a firearm. When I started living full-time in a motorhome and traveling across the country, and I'm in rest areas in the middle of Kansas, and I'm the only people in there, and it's dark and, whatever, and I have friends that are police chiefs here in Connecticut, and they pulled me aside, and they said, Ed, do you have a gun? I said, no, what the hell do I need a gun for? And they said, Ed, you live now in a motorhome, and there's only one door in and one door out of your new residence. And they said, how much money do you carry? I said, Do you have flat screen TVs? Yes. Do you have video cameras? Yes. And I said, I guess I better go down and apply. So I was able to apply for a permit here in Connecticut. And I did. I went through the whole thing. I became an NRA instructor. Rather than just take the course, I took the instructor's course, the course and the instructor's course. And I got a pistol permit, and I got a firearm, and then I said I travel across country, and I need to take advantage of reciprocal agreements. So I'm carrying in different states, and I did some homework, and I said, okay, I need Connecticut, Florida, Utah, and I need California because I'm out there 6 months out of the year.
Right.
And the missing piece of my self-defense was the California permit. And I teach students safety. That's what I teach them in the NRA course. But what I say to my students is, it's not my job to teach you, and I'm not required to teach you, and the state doesn't require you proficiency. I said proficiency is something you acquire on your own with a private instructor at a range.
That's right. Now, Ed, let me ask you something. Back to the case, if you don't mind. What was the result of that appeal? You won the appeal. Were you in fact granted a concealed weapons permit?
I have not yet put in a new application.
Oh, okay.
I had a cameraman who is one of my cameramen in San Diego, J.C. Playford, went down and did an interview with Jan Caldwell, the PIO for the Sheriff's Department. And, their take is, well, Mr. Peruta can put his application back in like everybody else. And, that's all fine and well. I'm listening to my attorney. I would go out tomorrow, walk in, and say, okay, I'm here. If they want me to update my application, I will. If they want me to submit another set of fingerprints, or they don't need fingerprints, but submit myself to another federal and state background check, I will. So, I'll do whatever they ask me to do.
So you've already submitted your application to them. It was denied, and then as a result of the appeal, they're saying that you're eligible to resubmit an application you already submitted. Is that what you're saying?
Well, here's the thing. Had I been given the permit back in 2009, I would have had to go through a renewal period, a renewal.
Right.
Every 2 years.
Oh, okay.
So I think that I don't have to put in the long form, so to speak, application, but I have to at least update. And the application has changed from 2009 to today. Mm-hmm. The current state-approved application was approved in November of 2012. And now I can break some news for, I think, you and everybody listening to us. If you go into the California Penal Code, you will find that the standardized application for CCWs in the state of California can only be changed by a committee appointed by the AG. And I've been talking to people, and nobody has ever been aware of a committee named or convened to go from the old application to the new application. So that should tell you something right there, Pete.
Interesting. Yeah, very, very fascinating. All right, sir. If you don't mind, in the essence of time, we're gonna run into a break here. I'm with you as long as you want. I'll be right here. Well, yeah, I want to definitely take the next segment and talk about the State of the Union as it relates to what Connecticut is attempting to do. I'm sure you're very familiar with what's going on.
Doing it in Connecticut.
Pardon me?
Then it's not just happening here.
No, that's right. That's exactly right. What I believe is happening in Connecticut is a little bit higher profile, but there is an attempt to grab guns here in America. Connecticut is a little bit more. The issues are a little bit more prominent. There have been letters sent to, I take it, registered gun owners, saying that they're, and we'll talk about the specifics of it, but essentially there have been 350,000 people, I understand, who have. I don't know how they got together to become civilly defiant and disobedient, but 350,000 residents, I understand, are not going to be complying with this mandate that's been described in letters. Is that a pretty correct assumption?
Well, let me tell you, I had been talking to your contact person. I went into State Police Headquarters the other morning at 8, and I signed in at 8:33 a.m., and I did, in fact, have a lobby conversation with Lieutenant Paul Vance, the infamous Lieutenant Paul Vance, and a member of their Legal Affairs Department, Henry Alexander, and I presented them with a copy of a January 2nd, 2014 letter, which reads out, "Dear Sir, Madam, we are returning your application." If that's the letter you're talking about, the one that's up on the internet, I've got information on that we can talk about after the break.
Yes, absolutely. And you say you went to see Lieutenant Vance. Was that after Gorilla Girl Ashley's call to Lieutenant Vance?
Because when I first talked to him on the phone, I said, "Paul, I'm not tape recording you. Don't worry about it."
And what did he have to say about that?
Well, you have to understand, Paul Vance and I have known each other for 25 or 30 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, my brother is a retired state. My brother passed away a year ago, but my brother was a retired state trooper. I knew Paul Vance before he was a lieutenant, when he was a sergeant, and I knew his boss and his previous boss's boss. So it was an interesting conversation that I'll tell you. You want to do it now, or you want to take your break?
You know what? Let me ask you this, just generally, and we'll get into the specifics. Okay. When I heard, first of all, the general demeanor during the telephone call, the demeanor of Lieutenant Vance is not inconsistent with the demeanor of a lot of our law enforcement officials. Now, the purpose of this conversation is not to bash all of law enforcement. But you know what we want to do is to identify those that have that demeanor that Vance had and displayed, that demeanor of of absolute arrogance and power and authority over the minions in his jurisdiction. I think it's a very dangerous attitude to have with somebody running around with a gun and a badge. And Lieutenant Vance, said, well, I was taken out of context. You heard in his own words, this was a very, very arrogant man who believed, unfortunately, everything that he said about him being the master over his jurisdiction. Is he, based on what you know of him, you say you've known him for a long time, is he really that dangerous in his attitude?
There are times when Lieutenant Vance makes statements where he should probably be keeping his mouth shut.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, here's the...
and I'll tell you, it comes with rank, privilege, badge, authority.
Yeah. Yes.
You can eventually think that you're the center of the universe when it comes to information.
Yes, sir. And this isn't just one man, Lieutenant Vance. We're talking about a lot of people in law enforcement. We have to call them out when necessary. We'll be back right after this. Susanna, what's the best way to stay warm this winter?
Oh, that's easy. It's Tahiti Joe's hot sauces.
Okay, but what flavor?
Well, that's not so easy because there's so many to choose from.
Polynesian,
Tropic garlic,
Tahiti Aki,
Volcano ahi,
Camel Toe hot sauce.
Analyze this.
Quadruple X Ghost Pepper hot sauce.
Aloha, this is Tahiti Joe, the maker of Tahiti Joe's hot sauces and the Maui Pepper Company. All of our sauces are made with a beautiful array of ingredients with no preservatives added and are prepared with a tropical passion for the perfect balance of flavor and heat delivered directly to you.
So warm up your winter with the tropical taste sensations from www.TahitiJoesHotSauces.com.
Tahiti Joe's hot sauces. Get some today.
Hi, folks. Ronnie McMullen here, talking to you about the immune system. As a talk show host, one of the major topics is health. It seems there are powers that be that want and desire the public to be sick. These are huge topics discussed on my show, but there is a way to combat this sick system. Life Change Tea. Life Change Tea is an all-natural product that gently cleanses your inside, gives you more energy, and builds your immune system. All organic and a natural weapon against toxicity. Customers have been buying year supplies to make sure they're prepared and healthy. Interested? You should be. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com, or you can call us direct at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. On the Ronnie McMullen Show, these topics get covered. On the Get the Tea website, these topics are addressed. Get rid of the dis before ease. You'll just be left at ease. That's getthetea.com.
If you enjoy the outdoor life or are preparing for any type of emergency, then you will need the world-renowned Kelly Kettle. The Kelly Kettle is an outdoor camp stove and kettle used to boil water ultra-fast. The Kelly Kettle is the original water boiling kettle that works ultra-fast using only sticks and twigs or whatever else you find that will burn. Don't waste your precious resources on heavy batteries and fuels. For over 100 years, this unique kettle has made boiling water in the outdoors quick and easy, even in the most extreme weather conditions. Whether you are cooking or boiling, you will appreciate the compact, lightweight design, super reliability, and a rugged durability that will last a lifetime. If your life depended on the features of an outdoor pro at a casual camper price, you would go to www.kellykettleusa.com. Enter Pete10 for 10% off whichever Kelly Kettle size fits you or your family best.
Live from the Overthrow Bunker and FEMA Region 9, you're listening to The Pete Santilli Show.
All right, we're going to get to it. I'm with Ed. Do you mind if I call you Ed? It's Ed Peruta.
No, it's a lot easier than the last name, right?
Yeah, Ed. It's been so far. It's been a great conversation. I'm very, very interested. I was thinking during the break. I would have loved to have been right in front of the man that spoke those words to our producer, Gorilla Girl Ashley, because it was just very revealing when you approached him and you You spoke to him on the phone. He said, I'm not going to record you. I'm going to come down and meet with you. You met with him in person. Tell us about that conversation.
No, I didn't say I'm not going to record you. Let me get no. Let me see if I can get the story straight. I was invited to talk on Lock and Load Radio with Bill Frady.
Okay.
And I wanted to address the issues going on in Connecticut. And I have press credentials in my pocket, and I have a reputation for not opening my mouth unless I got it in my back pocket.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to go down to Lieutenant Vance, and I wanted to have in my possession the letter that is up on the internet dated January 2nd.
Right.
And I took a article where, and I'll just read portions of it, Vance confirmed that the letters were sent out. Now, that's not in quotation marks. But then in quotation marks, it says, it was just an informational letter. That's all it was, unquote. And then, quote, we're still doing the paperwork, unquote. And now when somebody puts quotes around it, that's Vance's exact word. So I went down, and I had to go on Lock and Load at 10 o'clock. I live in central Connecticut. State Police headquarters is about 5 miles south of me. So I had to go there, get the information, then drive to the northwest corner of Connecticut where Rachel Baird's office is. I signed into the logbook 8:33 a.m. They open the doors at 8:30. I was made, and I told them who I needed to speak to and what I was there for, and I had called them to tell them I was coming down to get it.
Right.
And so I had to wait until about 9:15. Now, it takes 45 minutes to go from where I am to Rachel Baird's office. So I was really ready to walk out the door without it. And then all of a sudden, Paul Vance and an attorney by the name of Henry, with an I, Alexander, from Legal Affairs came out to the lobby.
Okay.
And I held up. Oh, and I went like this. I started off by saying, Paul, trust me, I'm not tape recording you. Because I knew the controversy.
Right.
But I held up and I said, there is talk out on the internet where people think that this may be a false document, the January 2nd letter, that somebody could have photoshopped it, made it, made it up.
Right.
I said, I need for you to tell me right now, is that real or is that fake? And he said, it is real. And I said, okay, Paul, I already knew that it was real, and I'll tell you why. It is a crime in the state of Connecticut to improperly use the seal, uniforms, or badges, even the hat of the Connecticut State Police. Mm-hmm. So the little emblem up in the upper right-hand corner would have been a criminal act had somebody used it inappropriately.
Right.
And nobody was getting arrested. So I put that down. I said, now, it says here that you confirmed that the letters were sent out. And then Henry Alexander, the attorney, said, well, only a few letters were sent out, and they have been retracted.
Oh, really? Wow.
Henry Alexander, J. Paul Vance, letters that went out have been retracted.
That's news right now. Is this the first time this has been put out in the public? So what you're saying is this big uproar in Connecticut about the letters. The attorney for the state police said,
that, I mean, I didn't get it in writing, but like I said, I've known these. They know who I am in headquarters. They even do affidavit. Never mind. Well, I got time. I was at a Freedom of Information hearing on 3 complaint hearings regarding the state police yesterday. 3 different issues.
Okay.
And they've actually supplied affidavits from the head of legal affairs, J. Paul Vance, saying how I got upset and yelled and pointed fingers in the lobby, because I'm not afraid of getting arrested if I'm right. I got a history, I got a long history of that. But I'm telling you that you are probably the first. I don't think I got to say it. I was on Fox the other night for 3.5 minutes. You can't even say anything. I'm telling you that the letter of January 2nd is real. They're saying, quote, a few were sent out, and that those that were sent out have been retracted. Now, how they retracted them, Pete, I don't know. That's what I was told.
Okay. That's us, and that came directly from the attorney. What was his name?
Henry, Henri Alexander, and Lieutenant J. Paul Vance in the lobby. And I'm trying to think of what day it may have been. Today's Thursday. Could have been Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, maybe.
That's outstanding. That's a win for the people. The people have taken a stand. Obviously, they did it because of the public backlash and the pressure. Correct?
Well, yeah. I would imagine so.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. Was there any commentary from Lieutenant Vance about the matter, especially his comments to our producer?
Right. Now. Yeah. And you know something? Your person talked to Paul Vance, and I think that Paul Vance may have, got his feathers ruffled a little bit, and he did what Paul Vance sometimes does and comes out with snippy comments that come back to bite him in the ass.
Sure.
And I think that happened. But let me just finish up the story, because there's some interesting facts that are not out there.
Please.
That you may be able to monopolize.
And we have 8 minutes left, but go ahead.
Okay. Paul Vance, when asked, and I said, okay, I need to ask a question. How many because there's published reports, they won't give me that information. How many applications came in after the deadline? How many people are felons? How many people would have gotten a letter saying, you filed late, we're returning your application, here's what you got to do? Well, evidently there were 50,000 applications, and I'm going to say and I hate to use the word assault weapon, but for no better use of a term, the assault weapon. 50,000 applications are in state police headquarters. It's now March 6th, and only 11,000 of those paper documents have been processed into the database. What's taking them so long? What was so important about December 1st? Because a lot of those were probably received before December 1st. You follow me?
Yeah.
So why have they not put the priority? Now, here's the way this goes, and if we've only got 8 minutes, I need to say something and get it on the record real quick.
Please.
When I used to do my television public and least access programs in Connecticut, I had to say it. And it goes like this. Call your mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, neighbors, and friends. This is a program like no other program, and a conversation like no other conversation. And, you need to let them know to tune in and come back. Mm-hmm. And here was my phrase, and it fits you to a T, and I was telling your contact, okay? And here's a phrase you can borrow from me at any time. If controversy causes conversations that lead to solutions, then we need to be as controversial as possible to solve problems.
Oh, yes. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, that's what our show is all about.
The office number for Daniel P. Malloy, 860-566-4840. Jam the phone line. He has an undersecretary for criminal justice and policy planning named Mike Lawler. He's really the puppet master, and don't let him kid you. Lawler's the one that's pulling the strings in the state. His number is 860-418-6394. The commissioner of, and I'll say state police to keep it short, Dora B. Sherrero, and I think she came out of Arizona, 860-685-8190. The Connecticut Senate Republican, main number, 860-240-8800. The Connecticut Senate Democrats, 860-240-8600. The Connecticut House Republicans, 860-240-8700. The Connecticut Democrats, the Speaker of the House, 860-240-8500. Ring the phones off the hook.
Yep.
Let them know what you're thinking, regardless of where you live, because government disease is contagious.
It is,
Now,
and we have a bad infection, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I can't tell you everything that I know, but Pete, let me see if I can explain this. Because I am a legal investigator for attorney Rachel M. Baird in Torrington, Connecticut, who has probably 95% of her practice right now is firearm related. And when the clients come in, I sit in on the initial client intake. I listen to the story.
Ed, do me a favor, okay? Ed, stay right there. I'm going to hold you over the top of the hour. We're not going to end this abruptly. There's no way. Let me hold you over the top of the hour, okay? Are you willing to stay for a little bit longer?
But I'll be here after the top of the hour.
Okay, what's that? Let me keep you for 10 more minutes. Stay right there.
No, that's fine. I'll stay as long as you want me.
Okay, I'm with Ed Peruta. I need to hear more about this Master Lieutenant Vance in Connecticut. He's the, as far as I'm concerned, the donut on the tip of the spear out there in the Connecticut State Police. And I need to hear more about him as well. We'll be back with Ed Peruta right after this message. Don't go away. We're going to preempt the news break at the top of the hour.
Infidel Body Armor, made in the USA, and Oath Keeper is giving the finger to the NSA.
We came, we saw, he died.
Thank you very much. I'm here to tell you right off the bat that I am not guilty of any criminal wrongdoing, that I intend to stay on the job, and I will fight this thing every step of the way. I will fight until I take my last breath. I have done nothing wrong.
So by taking the human being out of the equation, to really say, and turning it over to a computer.
Oh, I hope I can do this. Ed, are you still there? Are we still connected, or Ed Peruta is going to have to? Let's do this. We're going to go to Trainwreck Tommy. Trainwreck Tommy, you there?
What's up, bud?
Okay, listen, we're going to do. You're going to happy Thursday. That's right. We're going to we're going to modify what we normally do. We do the top of the hour news break, and I thought that I could speak to Ed, but he's on a different line on the Rents Network. Ride with me here, and let's take this into. We're gonna take probably a good 5-10 minutes so I can wrap up with Ed Peruta. With your permission, let me take a telephone call. 405 area code. What's your first name?
Anti-Rome drone, Pete.
What's up?
What up?
What's your comment, dude?
Don't have one. Just listening in, my man. Just listening in.
And let me give out that number. By the way, it's a great number. You can listen in. And yeah, and here's the new listener line. It's 712-432-7848. I'm going to repeat that for everyone. Program it into your phones. 712-432-7848. It's a free call, just as long as you have free minutes. And you changed your number, but how have you been?
I'm doing all right. I got 2 or 3 different numbers. Just haven't used this one on you yet.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. It's great to hear from you, though. I appreciate you calling in. Let me put you back on the line here, and let me go to Jay. You've been trying to get in. Jay, what's your comment?
Hi, Pete. How are you today?
Good. Do you have a quick comment?
Yes, I do. I have just a very brief thing to read for you that William Casey wrote, less than a paragraph.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Freedom is a priceless commodity. The amount of freedom you enjoy is a result of the amount of vigilance you invest. My actions may be recorded as criminal, condemning countless Americans to drug dependency. I do not care. All wars produce casualties. Generally, the more violent the war, the shorter the length. My choice was either to stare down a protracted Cold War, guerrilla insurgency in Latin America, or use the means available to finance and wage a violent war of short duration for democracy. I stand by my decision. The tool is cocaine. The trick is to understand that the drug user had the freedom to make a choice. They chose the drug. I chose to use their habit to finance the democracy that all Americans enjoy, to keep those Americans safe from the communist threat knocking on our door in Latin America. For a change, the drug user will contribute to society. I declare under penalty of perjury that the above facts are true and correct, to be, to the best of my knowledge and belief, executed this 9th day of December 1986 in McLean, Virginia. William J. Casey, witnessed by Richard Nixon.
Speaking of executed, if William Casey, ex-CIA chief, read that in front of you or said those words in front of you, what would you do if you were standing right in front of him?
What would I do?
Yeah, what would you do?
I'd say to him, reason untempered by compassion is a very dangerous thing. And so this is reason untempered by compassion.
Very, very dangerous. That is probably, those are probably some of the most horrifying words I've ever heard read by a listener on this show. And this is unfortunately what has gotten us into this freaking mess. We are where we are today as a society throughout the entire world, led by the United States. The mentality by which that guy wrote that crap on a piece of paper, if he, he's already dead, but if he were alive and he were in front of me, I would shoot him in the vagina.
Me too.
Yes, absolutely. Stay right there. I just had to get that in. I'm going to go to Trainwreck Tommy here momentarily. What we're going to do is I'm going to go to Ed Peruta, and we're going to wrap up our conversation. Ed, here's and I'm sorry I couldn't speak to you during the top of the hour news break.
No. Listen, I know how it works.
Yep. Let's do this. I need to, if you will, please allow me. You had a conversation with Lieutenant Vance. Above and beyond, that's great. You confirmed that the letter that was sent out was retracted. You know, I see them not as a compassionate group of people. I see them as making their first attempt, being unsuccessful with the public backlash, but that's not going to stop them. But let's get back to Lieutenant Vance. Lieutenant Vance was approached by Gorilla Girl Ashley for whatever reason, however it worked out journalistically. I don't even freaking care. All I care about is what this guy said. We heard it in his own words. He doesn't care less about the U.S. Constitution, doesn't want to have a conversation about that. And he told, for the reasons why you said he's a little bit hot-headed, that's kind of, I say hot-headed, that those weren't your words. That was my perception. That sometimes he's going to say stupid things in the course of his duty. What did Lieutenant Vance say about, did he say anything about that telephone call? Did you ask him about it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yeah. Let me say this.
Tell me. But we have 10 minutes maximum here.
Lieutenant Vance's job as PIO is to craft and protect the image of the department. And I'm not gonna say the F word. He effed up big time in talking to Gorilla Girl. Now, when I was in the lobby and I said, I'm not taping you, Henry Alexander got in my face and he said, well, you know, that girl that called him up was violating the law, committing a criminal act when she tape recorded him. And I looked at Henry Alexander, who we know each other, and I got in his face and I said, Henry, I tape record government officials all the time because they lie. I said, and that's the only defense I have, is to have a recording of what really happened.
That's right.
Now, I've sent Gorilla Girl the affidavits that were that were presented to me yesterday. One of them is from Lieutenant Vance. But what I'm saying to you is this. Lieutenant Paul Vance, probably to Gorilla Girl, gave a look behind the curtain of what the real attitude is of the Connecticut State Police.
That's right.
In other words, his job is to maintain and craft the public image to make everybody happy. But every once in a while, he cracks, it opens up, somebody gets to him, and he makes a statement. And then you see, and I'm not saying Lieutenant Vance, I'm saying you get to see the real behind-the-scenes attitude of a government law enforcement agency.
That's right.
Know, we don't give a shit about the law. Do what we tell you to do.
Especially not the Constitution.
Yeah. Just do what we tell you to do.
That's right.
And that is a problem that I see day in and day out involving firearms in this law firm. And I got to tell you, before I go, and then I'm going to let you do the rest of the talking. Connecticut Carry, www.ctcarry.com. If you want to know the big things that are happening in Connecticut, or you want to see some issues, Rich Burgess is putting out press releases. And I don't mind telling you this. Mm-hmm. A lot of the background he gets for his press releases come out of the office of Attorney Rachel M. Baird in Torrington. Because we see it on a daily basis. We're starting to see patterns. Right. We're starting to see government actions that take place. We'll probably be the first people to know if they start knocking on doors. So I would suggest that everybody make contact, visit www.ctcarry.com, register, become a member, get on the mailing list so that you can get the press releases that Rich
Let's do this. This isn't going to be, but by the way, this is not going to be the last time I have you on. We'll invite you back on. Here's what I need to ask you.
I have to say this because,
hurry.
You talk on Fox or you talk on broadcast, you got the 7:30 words.
Yeah.
I did, in fact, tell the state of Connecticut, quote, shit or get off the pot, unquote.
Yeah.
You either go out and start arresting people or repeal these goddamn laws.
Yeah.
Because the Connecticut legislature adjourned May 7th. This is what's called the short year. You have long sessions and short sessions. This is a short session that the legislature is in right now. And you have to make calls to those phone numbers I gave you. Because here's what's going to happen. We have people who failed to register by accident, people who failed to register by ignorance, and people who failed to register out of defiance. But according to the law, and I'm not saying everybody should get arrested, but once they start knocking down doors, arresting people, and seizing firearms, there is going to be a reaction. There's going to be a reaction of the public, not just in Connecticut. It'll be with social media. It's all over the world. And that's going to create a backlash to the legislature. Yes. I'm getting reports that there's certain state legislatures that are asking the state police and their local police departments for police protection because they're afraid. You know,
I hope so, yeah. Huh? I certainly hope so. They should fear us. They should fear us because we know what we're doing. We've been running this country for a while, and our founding fathers taught us well. Yes.
I am not advocating any violence. I refuse to do that. I think that we can work within the political system.
Yeah.
And I think that if something is going to happen, it's going to be a reaction to an action. It's not going to be an offensive act. It's going to be a defensive act.
No. I absolutely agree with that. Oh, no, I certainly do. But as far as the quote-unquote, the fear that they should have in us. Yep. The fear that they should have in us is that we will defend ourselves, absolutely, from a tyrannical government that wants to overpower us. We won't tolerate that. We're certainly not going to fire the first shots. But yes, our legislators should have the fear of their jobs to be voted out of office if they're not doing the right thing constitutionally. So, sir, all right, here's my next thing. I've been really trying to get this from you. I need to get this from you.
Or liberal issue. This is a constitutional issue.
The constitutional issue.
As long as that piece of paper is sitting in the archive in Washington for everybody to look at, we need to live by it.
Ed, we certainly do. And like I said, this is not. I'm gonna take the reins here for the remaining balance of the conversation. Okay, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity to come back on. I want to talk with you more about these issues. You're certainly an expert in this realm, and we want to know what's going on in Connecticut. Lieutenant Vance, during the Sandy Hook debacle, okay, we'll call it that. Whatever. There's a lot of stuff bantied about, but Lieutenant Vance, in his own words, I'll never forget the day that he got on camera and said that there were people out there tweeting erroneous information, and he wanted to have them arrested. Okay, that was a problem. I had a problem with that. Okay, this guy with his bucket on his head, a state trooper bucket on his head, just sounded like a freaking out of control tyrant. Okay, that was the first instance. Then, by chance, she had no idea that Lieutenant Vance was going to be answering the phone. He answers the phone, and he again says something stupid yet revealing of what this man is all about. Now, let's set it aside that there's a lot of people with his same attitude. Is this guy really worthy of carrying a badge and a gun with that attitude inside of his donut-filled belly?
Do you want an answer to that?
Oh, I want an answer very directly.
All right, well, stop and think about it. What does Lieutenant Vance wearing the badge and the gun do that a civilian for a lot less money couldn't do?
What does he do?
Well, a civilian could be the PIO for the department.
Sure.
What I'm saying to you is this. Lieutenant Vance made a mistake, and he makes mistakes. And the mainstream brick-and-mortar media probably would have left it on the edit table. They don't have edit tables anymore. Everything's electronic. They would have left it out of the program, and they would have gone because the mainstream media has a tendency to kiss ass so that they guarantee the flow of information coming out of state police.
Sure.
People in this office, in my business, we go in and have to rip it out and have to ask for it, literally fight to get it. And what I'm going to promise you is this. From now on, my contact person will get copies of all of the emails that I've got pending for a Freedom of Information request from the state police regarding firearms.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that you people can see what I've asked for, what I've obtained. I have a database of 49,900 names of every person that had a hunting license in the state of Connecticut. And those were the long guns. 13,000 email addresses. They're not protected. I've got a list of every firearm known to exist in the state of Connecticut by the town it's located in, make, model, and serial number. At Connecticut Carry, we put that database up that if you have a firearm in Connecticut, you can go to Connecticut Carry, you can enter in the serial number, and you'll know if the state knows if you've got it.
Ed, I want to thank you. Listen, this is awesome. We're going to
you know what I'm saying?
We're going to stay in contact, Ed. I want to thank you very much for all of your time. It's been a great segment with you, and I appreciate you, but especially for your
on California,
especially for your service to our country during Vietnam, especially because, by the way, I was raised as a former United States Marine by a bunch of great patriotic Vietnam veterans when I was in. And so I have
shout out to FedEx in Memphis, Tennessee, to all the guys from Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, February 1968.
Yes, sir. Semper Fi, Marine. We'll have you back on. I can't wait to speak with you again, okay? Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Stay safe.
Yep, you too. We'll be back. Bunker News Break coming up with Trainwreck Tommy. He's waiting in the wings here. And you're going to